Our next company will be RhinoCyte, and presenting for the company will be Teresa, Leezer, Chief Operating Officer. The company is located in Louisville, Kentucky.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We appreciate the opportunity to give you an update on our technology and our progress in the last 12 months. We are looking to become a leader in cell therapy. We provide, we believe, innovative autologous solutions to treat neurodegenerative disorders. Why is our cell so special? What is the advantage of the RhinoCyte? We believe that it has a unique safety profile. We've harvested cells from over 150 patients thus far. The autologous model, we believe, is a safe approach, the donor being the recipient of the therapy. The cells respond to site-directed signals and do not require genetic engineering. Again, we think a potential opportunity as we commercialize these products. We also believe the cells, from a mechanism of action perspective, are biological mini pumps, and they synthesize molecules that promote neural cell proliferation, survival, and differentiation. We believe that this type of a cell represents a novel transformational stem cell therapy, and again, we're targeting neurodegenerative diseases. Recently, we've gotten some early indications on type 1 diabetes, and there are potential for diagnostic applications as well. Just to kind of give you a sense, if you've not heard about the company or our stem cell site of harvesting, we do harvest from the rhinoepithelium, hence the name RhinoCyte. These tissues, we believe, confer certain advantages, one being high lifelong regenerative capacity. They are readily accessible, and again, autologous, we believe, is a great approach from patient to patient. What types of cells do these tissues perhaps replace? We have early data that they can replace motor and sensory neurons, oligodendrocytes in some cases, as well as other support cells. And I'll tell you why that's important in just a minute. We talked a little bit about neurodegenerative diseases. Our first product is spinal cord, and about a year after that is Parkinson's disease. We have other very early data on ALS, MS, and other diseases as well. As I mentioned, our first clinical target is spinal cord injury. There is a high unmet clinical need. We don't believe that there's any therapeutic treatment currently available for these patients. Certainly there are some under development. We have strong supportive data at this very early stage, and there are validated animal models in this particular disease state that help progress the technology. We also believe that a slight improvement is going to be very meaningful to these patients. So as we move forward, we will be very cognizant of that as we look at evaluating those treated. RhinoCyte has been awarded an orphan drug designation in this area, and hopefully that will confer some advantages as we move forward. There are two models that we've looked at for spinal cord injury. We have early data on the hemisection model. The severe contusion model is what we will actually be submitting as the primary piece of our IND submission later this year. Just to kind of give you a timeline, we completed our toxicology biodistribution studies last year when I was able to present at this session. We now have our analysis and IND submission progressing with a target at the end of the year for submission to the agency. And we are pleased that we are beginning phase 1 preparation with a very experienced clinical team. Our regulatory effort has been headed by Joy Cavagnero, and she's been supported by Maureen Costello and Patricia Williams, both veterans in the field, Maureen in the area of CMC, and Pat in the area of successful IND submissions and gathering all the data that we need to make a successful presentation to the FDA. We're very pleased to have a clinical team that we believe is so talented and very knowledgeable on spinal cord injury as well as other areas. Jane Lipkowski is heading our team, along with Dr. Ed Worth, and Linda Jones will be working with us in the field for the spinal cord injury trial. Our phase 1 center trial, from a strategic perspective, will be an open label, 20 patient, subacute, functionally complete lesions in the T3 to T12 area of the spinal cord. And one important part of this center trial is that we will look at 120 days at least post-injury. We want to make sure that the patient is stable prior to the delivery of the cells. Our primary endpoints, obviously, for this very early trial are safety. Secondary endpoints, however, we're going to look at multiple outcome measurements, and Dr. Worth is reviewing this protocol and will give us some of those specifics in terms of what we want to collect, while still keeping the study very streamlined and moving forward as quickly as possible. We do have a variety of other interests in addition to spinal cord. I mentioned Parkinson's. We have had very early data indicating potential in type 1 diabetes. We also have an orphan drug designation in ALS, and there's very early data in MS as well. Parkinson's, as I mentioned, is about 12 months behind spinal cord injury. We believe that this may be an ideal disease for cell replacement therapy because there's the loss of one specific type of neuron, the dopaminergic neuron, and the loss occurs in one area of the brain. We have looked at the market, and although there are a lot of pharmaceutical interventions, over time they become less effective, and as patients live longer, again, a very high clinically unmet need. And these cells do not need engineering. So again, another positive when we're looking at this age of patient. Steps for Parkinson's as we move forward. We're looking at a preclinical meeting toward the end of the year with the FDA. We've had external collaboration with folks looking at the data from the outside. We would like to begin the pivotal studies with the feedback from the FDA in the first quarter of next year, and with a good deal of aggressive planning, submission of the IND for Parkinson's at the end of 2013. From an intellectual property perspective, we have 4 patent families that we're working on concurrently with Fisher & Richardson, our attorney of record. Cells in use, which we have the broad application of the cells and their use granted both in the US and in Europe currently. The modification of the cells, and then specific use in Parkinson's and type 1 diabetes, given the large nature of the markets and potential interest in the future by large partners. In terms of growth potential for the company, we're looking at a platform development opportunity, spinal cord being the initial product, followed by Parkinson's, and as we mentioned, currently diabetes and ALS as the 4th product. When we're looking at the overall portfolio, we're looking at product launch for spinal cord injury in 2017 and a significant return on investment with spinal cord and Parkinson's by the end of 2019. You know this slide better than I do. When we talk about regenerative medicine, we talked this morning about many, many sectors of science working together to bring this transformation forward in terms of the way we look at disease and the way we treat disease. We believe, as we look at spinal cord injury, that although it's not a very large market, it is orphan drug designated, as we mentioned, there are a lot of patients that do need this treatment. 1.3 million in the US total, 13,000 new cases annually. The second panel talked a bit about how we take dollars out of the healthcare spending, and we think when you look at the dollars, 7 to 10 billion spent per year for direct costs for these patients in terms of care, and 41 billion in annual cost total, there is a significant opportunity here for both treating an unmet need and also in terms of economics. Parkinson's, as we mentioned, is a fairly large market, 1.5 million Americans with the disease, 60,000 new cases each year. And in terms of pharmaceutical intervention, about 6 billion per year in the US alone, but 25 billion in direct and indirect medical costs. We talked a little bit about getting our story out. We've been out this year talking with a lot of different groups about the opportunity in regenerative medicine and with RhinoCyte specifically. And we are headed up by Dr. Fred Rosen, the founder of the company, Steve Gaylor, who's been in this business for about 40 plus years now, who originally started at Lilly, and myself. Just in terms of giving you a sense of a summary, we've talked a little bit about the commercial and the clinical plan. We are looking at raising funds. We just closed on half of the bridge round for this year. That will get us into the clinic. And then we're looking at a $10 million round Series B with Healthios in Chicago to take the product forward into phase 1. If you have any questions, I'll be around later today and certainly tomorrow. I appreciate your time and your interest.